Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of CS Cyber. I am Sean.
And I'm Chad.
And we've got a lot in the news. And we're starting with this European government air gap system breach. That's awful.
Yeah, I thought this one was kind of interesting, right? So APT Golden Jackal successfully breached some air gap systems.
Right.
And they really did it using like USB pens, right? So they used some custom software and USB pens, but they did this over a 2-year period, right? So I thought that was really interesting that you have these air gap systems that still have USB ports just readily accessible, plug in anything you want, right? So just really kind of an interesting story. So, I mean, this was done in the European Union and South Asian Embassy in Belarus. So they used 2 custom tool sets, including Jackal Worm, to steal sensitive emails, encryption keys, images over a 2-year period. So pretty brazen. I mean, they have to have some sort of inside help to do this.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah, so.
I assume this is physical access.
Yeah, you got to have physical access. You got to have some USB ports that are open. This really, to me, just kind of seemed like a failure of an air gap system.
Sure.
So.
Got a little story for you. So when we were, you weren't with me, but when I was in Israel the first time, we actually saw some proof of concept from the Israelis on using 2 air gap systems that were placed next to each other. Do you remember that?
No, but I read an article on it.
Yeah, that was able to use heat waves to transmit data back and forth.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that was insane. But that was like my first real eye-opening experience with air gap systems, right?
Yeah, I mean, I've heard of like the keys on the keyboard or like the sounds, but I mean, until I read that article, I hadn't heard of anything. I mean, that close to gather that data.
Yeah, I think there's some crazy stuff out there, but this definitely brings to light if you're going to use air gap systems. Definitely, I've heard of in the financial industry, right? Them shooting like glue and stuff into the USB ports to make sure that they're not usable.
Yeah. I never really considered that.
Yeah.
I mean,
well,
physically make them unusable.
Yeah, and that was cheaper, right, than buying new systems. So they would just shoot glue into them, and that would register them inert. But definitely definitely a physical control type situation for sure.
Yeah. This is just some good old espionage.
Yeah, right.
So.
Never hurt anybody. Maybe. What else we got? Patch Tuesday coming?
Yeah. So today is Patch Tuesday. So we got Avanti warns of 3
Avanti
3.0 days actively exploited in the wild. So it's all around their cloud services appliance. So make sure if you're using Avanti, go out there and make sure you update there. Or you can update it. I mean,
right.
For now. So Windows 11 had some, Windows 10 had some.
Okay.
So just overall, it's a good time to check for patches. Because
Did you say Windows 7?
No, Windows 10.
Oh, okay. I thought you said Windows 7.
No, that's way past.
That's way out of there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, in a special release, we had a Windows 7 update.
Yeah, right. Surprise. We brought it back.
So, yeah, just a couple of those. Just check patches. I see that a lot. I mean, Chrome releases patches every single week. So,
yeah, right. Sometimes multiple times.
Yeah. And then we have an ADT. So 2 breaches in 2 months.
Yeah, that's not good.
No, not good at all. What did they take?
Stolen credentials.
So at this point, like
third party,
all the credentials are out there.
Right.
All of them. So if you've used a password ever in your life, it's probably already out there.
I think it's important to realize on this one too that the data that was taken was encrypted. So that's the first time I've really seen a article come out and actually say the data that was taken was encrypted, because I think a lot of times this happens and we don't find out if it was encrypted or not. So kudos to ADT for at least encrypting their employee data.
Well, I think there was a breach not too long ago, and they said their stuff was encrypted, and then turns out it wasn't encrypted.
Okay, well, I can't help that.
Then so
right, got to tell the truth.
Yeah. But yeah, so.
Yeah, I think a lot of people too, in these types of situations, just to the encryption conversation, may not on purpose say that something was encrypted, not knowing if it was or not.
Yeah.
We've talked about that through, if you just look at the city of Columbus, right? So the mayor comes out and says, everything was encrypted, not usable. I don't think he maliciously said that in a way that he purposely lied to everyone, but I think the information that he got, probably secondhand, possibly.
I totally agree.
Right. So there's just this long chain of conversation, right, to make sure that it's like the old telephone game.
Yeah.
To make sure that what you're reporting is accurate. That's definitely required.
Yeah. There's no way a city manager or mayor would know if that was encrypted. Like they're so far removed from that on a day-to-day basis. So.
No, and honestly, even the IT director or the CIO or whoever is in charge, right, may not even have that level of information. It may be the actual backup operator, right, that would have known if that backup set was actually encrypted, or some type of infrastructure person to say if the file server was encrypted or not.
Yeah, I think at this point, you should just encrypt everything. Your laptops, with BitLocker, with what does Apple have? They have
I don't know what it's called, but yes, exactly.
Yeah, databases, encryption at rest. There's...
Yeah, it's readily available.
It's readily available. It's easy to use. There's very little performance gains or losses I see there at this point. So
I think the important thing, though, is where you put the encryption keys. So one of the things that we saw with Columbus was allegedly the encryption keys were with the stolen data. So if you take an encrypted database, but the encryption key is with the data set.
Yeah, it's like leaving your car keys in the visor,
Yeah, that's exactly it. Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, no, totally agree. You got to keep them safe. You got to have them locked up somewhere else. So
definitely. All right. Well, that's all we have for today. It's kind of a short episode, but we'll stay on top of all the articles as they come out. So thanks for joining us. See you next time.
We'll see you next time.